excitement and a strange desire welled up within her. Who was it who knew her taste in music so well? The whistling below started again. She pulled the bedclothes over her head. When she woke up, the morning seemed surprisingly normal. Her sister-in-law was screeching at the maid, the children's feet scurried noisily as they got ready for school, and somewhere outside, a dog yelped. She looked at herself in the mirror wonderingly. Who was it who had whistled so hauntingly last night? Who was it who knew her favorite tunes? Who was it who watched and waited for her in the darkness? Was he a friend, a foe, a well-wisher? She went through the day feeling a warm sense of excitement all over. She was no longer alone. Somebody was out there, a secret admirer. I leave you to find out what the rest of it is. The person in this passage is a very grey personality. She lives a shadow world between imagination and reality.
Konkuna, there are three questions probably which I would want to ask you, and then we can take some questions from the audience. Cappuccino Dusk is set in Halfway House. How well do you know Halfway House? How well do you know these people? Are these people for real? I mean, now I know Bubla there. But is this just the Bubla boss? How different are they? Do we know the people around? Is there some fact in the fiction that you've created in Cappuccino Dusk? I'm sure there will be enemies and friends around, so...
At the risk of having tomatoes and eggs thrown at me, I must admit that 70% of the characters are inspired by real people around me. I'm very lucky to have a lot of cantankerous relatives. Like I said, the go easy on the tomatoes and eggs. I have a lot of cantankerous relatives. I have a lot of eccentric friends. And I have been inspired a lot by the characters, their eccentricities and the character traits, even the ideas that are portrayed in some of the characters in this book are based on real life people. I've taken a lot of things from my siblings, from my father who is right here listening to every word, and so I think it's basically a conglomeration of traits I've seen in very real people. And as for Halfway House, that's completely imaginary. It's an imaginary building. But I had to get people together, and I felt this was, a kind of nothing short of a lunatic asylum, so I called it Halfway House. But 70% of the characters are based on real people.
We've heard Konkuna read, we've heard Bubla read from Cappuccino Dusk. Probably we would have some questions from the audience here.
Deepak Nanikram Lakshmani, special correspondent of The Verdict. Madam, what was the main inspiration which made you write this book, and how much time it took you to write this book from start to finish?
I was a novelist in Bangla, and sometime early on in my school days, I found that I loved writing. And I think there was a lot of pressure from my family and friends to write novels, not just short stories, but to write something very solid. And at the subconscious level, I think the expectations that people had of me played on me. And I would say that it took me about 6 to 7 years to formulate the characters, to flesh them out. And another 3 months, because at one point I felt that I was not in charge of the novel wrote itself. So I would say that it took me about 8 to 9 months to complete the entire novel.
When you started, did you have all these characters in mind? Or did you first make the characters and then start writing what they were going to do? Or was it the other way around?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I had a linear story in mind with just 1 or 2 characters, and my main character was the budding architect who always dreamt of a very clear green Bombay, who wanted to see whether he'd able to bring his ideas to fruition. That was the only character I had in mind. But strangely, as I went along, new characters seemed to spring out of nowhere. I almost had no control over my story. And every now and then there would be a new character springing up, demanding attention. And there I was, one after the other, the characters increased. And I landed up with about 6 stories. And like I was telling Supriya, it was like having a chariot being driven by 6 horses. Each horse wanted to go in a different direction. So eventually to get them all, heading in the same destination was something of a job.
I just wanted to ask you, since this is a fiction novel, so there's no reality to every content. So did you have to do a lot of traveling across, India or watching TV serials like which he had this Ekta serials, or to get a little input into his characters and forms? Because from a little bit which I heard, I'm sure something of that may have registered in your mind, or you may have, in order to give a feel to this characters.
This novel is basically based in Bombay, and the family, with what happens is with most Bengalis who move to Bombay over the decades, they become hybrids. They start by a process of osmosis, the culture of the city works into them, and they are no longer proper Bengalis, they become hybrids. So this is a book that's basically based in Bombay, very much a Bombay book, and since I've been a Mumbaikar all my life, I had no problem portraying the typical Mumbai traits in my characters. But at the same time, I love masala movies. I go for every single Hindi movie that is released. I watch Supriya Di, the serials, and I'm very much a media person. So somewhere I think the movies that I watch, the serials that I follow, also go a long way in helping me form the character.
I am Shantanu Banerjee, father of company. I have a question which is addressed not only towards the writers, budding writers, upcoming writers, but also towards the publishers. There was a time when there were magazines, periodicals, which would publish stories written by writers, young writers, old writers, all kinds of people who had some stories to tell. And for young writers at least, this publication of their stories acted as a sort of tasting of the water. And they knew what they were doing was right, what they were doing was wrong. It also helped the publishers. When these stories were published, they knew who was writing good stories, who was writing trash. And they could probably attract the writers who were writing good work. I don't know on what basis your first publisher chose you. Probably because you were doing journalism. No, so am I audible to everybody?
Not completely.
No. This part of it, do you feel, one question to you, do you feel that the writers, particularly young unknown writers, need a forum, a platform, where they can publish their work and put it before the public to take it or reject it? And number two, the publishers, whether they would like to see the publications the creation which is going on the young upcoming writers, and they could probably more safely publish the books which were really likely to make a hit. So, in this situation, would the publishers be interested maybe getting together and publishing a magazine or journal which publishes young writers?
My first short story was written for Femina. There's a magazine called Femina which used to feature short stories. So my first story was written for Femina more than 20 years back, and I also used to illustrate short stories. And I think that was a wonderful platform for aspiring writers to air their stories and get a feedback from readers, and they really knew where they stood and whether they could take that big step to writing an individual work of fiction. And I think that's being sorely missed. We have an Illustrated Weekly and other magazines